Now at 7 o'clock, a major development in the case of Bryan Kohberger, the man accused of killing 4 University of Idaho students in 2022. There's a plea deal on the table. We'll explain what it can mean in our top story coming up. Plus,
you never think it's going to happen in your town.
A tight-knit Idaho town searching for answers after 2 firefighters were killed by a man who set the fire himself.
And later this hour, summer travel heating up. See what we did there, the summer, the heating?
Yep.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
Major airports preparing for the holiday weekend. It's fast approaching, of course. So is our 7 o'clock hour of sunrise. It starts right now.
Good morning, and thank you for joining us live at 7 o'clock on your Tuesday. I'm China Green.
And I'm Drew Carney. Chris McGinnis and Rod Hill also on board, and there they are, ready to roll with a little traffic and weather. Rod, lead it off.
My turn. All right. Good morning to you. Tail today is still a good idea to get some outdoor activity done this morning. It will be heating up this afternoon. It won't be as hot. But you folks in Salem, as we look live at the state capitol, could still get up to 90 degrees potentially. Right now, 65 degrees. There's a west-northwest breeze out there. Here's downtown Portland. Beautiful blue sky. I was just outdoors. Really nice. 62. There's a noticeable breeze here in downtown from the west. I'd say to about 15. Here's your day moving forward. Mostly sunny. 80 at noon. And we stopped the temperature at 89. Maybe we hit 90 again. Yesterday was 94. Cooler weather, noticeably cooler, starts tomorrow. Here's Chris.
Rod, thanks for that. We pick it up with a traffic alert in Clackamas County. Just told you about this a couple of minutes ago. Again, getting word of a serious injury crash on Highway 224. 2 miles east of Tong Road. Right now we're hearing from ODOT the road is closed, 224 that is. Your detour, the lengthy one to go up 232nd Drive and then through the Damascus area. Again, I'm working to get more details on this closure and the crash. I'll bring those to you as soon as I have. I lost my washout camera here again, but I can tell you the trip out of Clark County is just a little slow on I-5 right now, about 16 minutes or so to get you in from Main Street. And the trip on I-84 westbound now about 20 minutes or so to get you in from Troutdale. As always, guys, the slowest part of that commute is inside the Gateway District from 205 on the Banfield towards the I-5 split. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Chris. Top story here at 7 o'clock, Bryan Kohberger, the man accused of killing 4 University of Idaho students in 2022, appears poised to take a plea deal that would keep him from going to trial and also allow him to avoid the death penalty.
Sunrise reporter Thomas Schultz joins us in the studio. So Thomas, how are the victims' families feeling about this?
Well, the family of one of the girls allegedly killed by Bryan Kohberger posted on Facebook that they're furious, saying, quote, "This secretive deal was unexpected, rushed, and done without input from victims' families." Sources confirm Kohberger is set to plead guilty to the 4 murders of Madison Mogan, Kaylee Gonzalez, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin at a hearing tomorrow. The 4 were stabbed to death at an off-campus house on November 13, 2022. Weeks after the killings, Kohberger was arrested in Pennsylvania, where his DNA was matched to DNA found on a knife sheath at the crime scene. In a Facebook post, the Gonzalez family says they talked to the prosecution on Friday about the possibility of a plea deal, and it was a hard no from our family. The aunt of Xana Kernodle told TMZ their family also did not want a plea deal, leaving Gonzalez's father distraught.
No, it's failed. They failed me. They failed my whole family. It's my daughter. It's our children. How can you say it's just when you haven't even talked to us to see what justice looks like for us?
Sources say Kohberger will receive 4 consecutive life sentences and must waive his right to appeal. Experts say if Kohberger went to trial and was convicted by a jury on a death penalty decision, that could have been appealed and drawn out for years. Still, a retired King County judge tells us this is far from a done deal because in Idaho, judges can reject plea agreements.
If the judge does not conclude those things, that it is not voluntary, that it's a product of some sort of coercion, then yeah, the judge can reject it. The judge has an affirmative duty to make that determination.
And not just the judge that could reject it. Experts add that Kohberger could also change his mind about a plea, leaving the door open that this case may still be far from over and could possibly still go to trial. China?
Thomas, thank you. And staying in Idaho, where we're learning more about the gunman deputies say intentionally started a brush fire to lure first responders and then opened fire on them. Authorities say the gunman likely died by suicide.
2 firefighters were shot and killed. A 3rd remains in the hospital. For the latest on all this, here's NBC's Liz Kreutz.
Idaho authorities identifying 20-year-old Wes Valroli as the suspect they say deliberately ignited a brush fire before then shooting at responding firefighters in a violent ambush attack.
We do have some social media presence. Here's some of his social media postings that were recently removed from social media. We have not been able to find any manifesto.
The sheriff saying Rowley was found dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound after an hours-long standoff Sunday at a popular hiking and recreation area in Coeur d'Alene, with more than 300 law enforcement personnel, including the FBI, responding.
Everybody shot up here. Law enforcement, code 3 now up here.
Authorities saying firefighters asked Rowley to move his car. 2 firefighters killed, another injured. Among the fallen, a 17-year veteran of Kootenai County Fire and Rescue.
This is an unimaginable tragedy. A husband, a father, a champion of the fire service, somebody who cared about his people.
Fire Chief Christopher Way says 20 local firefighters responded to the initial call, describing the harrowing moments after the suspect opened fire.
Some hid behind trees in wooded areas. Some actually climbed up higher on the mountain. I know one crew hid behind a fire truck for protection.
It's terrifying.
Very terrifying.
Tonight, authorities say they're still trying to piece together a motive. Rowley's grandfather telling NBC News that something must have snapped for his grandson to commit this crime, saying Rowley had been in contact with the fire department for a job and that he wanted to be part of a team that he sort of idolized, adding maybe he got rejected or something.
Do you believe that the suspect potentially wanting to be a firefighter was a motive here?
You know, we just don't know. That is certainly a dynamic that we're looking into.
This tight-knit town left shaken and searching for answers as they step up to support their heroic first responders.
What is so shocking about something like this happening? You never think it's going to happen in your town?
That was NBC's Liz Kreutz reporting. Now, we're also hearing from one of the gunman's former roommates who says he couldn't remember Rowley doing or saying anything that would have hinted at what was to come.
I mean, that is an absolutely disgusting thing to do. You know, my heart goes out to those firefighters' families because I respect law enforcement and firefighters especially. And it hurts my heart, but it also scares the crap out of me because he lived in my home under my roof.
The sheriff's office says it's had previous interactions with Rowley, but described them as all minor. And a reminder, if you or someone you know is struggling, help is available 24/7. Just call or text 988, the National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, which provides confidential support and crisis resources. Again, that number is 988.
Let's get to some local headlines this morning. The man accused of leaving a bomb on I-5 in North Portland just last month pleaded not guilty to all the charges against him. Authorities say Alexander Wick left an explosive device on the highway back on June 14th. He also threw construction cones and nail-covered boards off the North Failing Street pedestrian bridge onto I-5. He's due back in court in August.
The teenager who allegedly plotted a mass shooting at a mall in Kelso is out of custody. The 14-year-old attorney tells us that the court couldn't prove that the teen, quote, ever actually attempted to harm someone. The FBI told the judge that the suspect admitted to planning a mass shooting at the mall, but that he had actual intention of doing it. He still faces 7 charges, including unlawful use of a weapon and attempted assault.
2 people have drowned in local lakes and rivers in less than a week's time. The latest happened yesterday afternoon at Horseshoe Lake in Woodland, Washington. A man went underwater and didn't resurface. A dive team recovered his body around 6:30 last night. Now, it's still not clear exactly how he drowned, but we know this. It follows the death of a 40-year-old woman near Cascade Locks back on Saturday. Authorities say that woman was paddleboarding on the Columbia when she fell into the water. With more people on the water for the summer, it's a reminder that conditions in the gorge especially can create some unique challenges.
Here the current and the wind go against each other, so it's really easy for big waves and swell to kind of get kicked up.
So if you didn't know how it worked, it'd kind of be like going into the ocean without understanding it, and it can be dangerous for sure.
It appears the woman who drowned in the Columbia was not wearing a life jacket. Rescuers say having one that fits and wearing it anytime you're in the water is key. Remember, even though it's still hot outside, or it is hot outside, rivers and lakes are still running cold.
Further west in the Columbia near Kalama Sunday afternoon, Cowlitz County Sheriff's deputies managed to save 2 people after their catamaran capsized. Authorities say the wind blew the boat over and the 2 couldn't get back up. Both were wearing life jackets and were not hurt.
All right, time to get back out live to the St. Paul Rodeo, which gets underway officially tonight with a 7:30 show. There are shows all week long at 7:30 through Saturday, and look at this young man go. That's some steer riding at 7:10 in the morning on a Tuesday. That was, we saw the young man on the steer, then we saw the steer disappear behind the barrier. Next shot, kid no longer on steer.
But he's right there. He's good.
Yeah, he's good.
He's good walking away.
This is basically the training ground for future bull riders. You can't just hop on a bull at 9 years old, right?
Yeah.
So you train on a steer, and there will be steer riding as part of the events tonight through Saturday at the St. Paul Rodeo. Big matinee show, by the way, on Friday. The only afternoon show this week is 1:30 on Friday, the 4th of July. This event always features some of the best cowboys and cowgirls in the country.
Rahil, do you think you could do that? Any of it?
Not today, no way. I like the part where the other cowboy went running after the steer. I like that part. That was my favorite part, actually. It's like, I'm going to go get that steer. I could run, but if the steer turned around, I would run the other way, of course. Here's our watch warning map for high fire danger. Red flag warning. This is Central Oregon, Bullseye, Crook County, right in the middle of it, all of Crook County, and then parts of the chutes up into Jefferson County, so Bend up into Madras. This is primarily issued today for another round of potential thunderstorms firing coming up from the south later today into this evening. And of course, lightning with thunderstorms potentially producing new fire starts. All of that will be watched very carefully again today. And then a reminder up here to the north, all of Wasco County up through Umatilla and then up into the Columbia Basin up into Washington, a heat advisory. This heat advisory expected to expire after today as temps start to cool. But for today, Hermiston, for example, your forecast high is 102. Hotter today than it was yesterday. Now here in the valley, the opposite is true. Our hot day was yesterday. We're still going to be pretty toasty, but not as bad this afternoon. There's the golf course out at Persimmon Golf and Country Club looking at Mount Hood this morning. Kind of a partly to mostly sunny morning. Really nice out there overall. We have a bit of a west breeze and temps primarily in the low 60s, 63 in Gresham this morning, 65 down in Salem, 61 degrees down in Albany. The forecast map for today shows that thunderstorm threat late afternoon, evening coming up into Central Oregon. Bend 91. There's Pendleton nearing 100. And then anywhere from generally upper 80s to about 90 for a high up and down I-5 this afternoon. We have Portland as toasty as 89. And then a significant cool down tomorrow. Tomorrow only about 80. You'll feel a tremendous difference. In fact, 4th of July right now, early clouds and 77 expected. Really nice holiday weekend upcoming. Back to you.
Rod, we've got that traffic alert in Clackamas County. Highway 224, again, a reminder, this is closed. It's been closed for about the last 20 minutes or so. ODOT telling us this crash near milepost 12. That's 2 miles east of Tong Road. No traffic getting through there right now. And so at this point, your detour is going to be 232nd and then through Highway 212 into the Damascus area. By the way, there you can see that thick red line. So obviously traffic is pretty thick there. You can see traffic. That's the eastbound commute. There's the westbound commute there. So we're getting a little bit busier there. I don't have any particulars on the crash at this point, although it does look like PGE has been called out to the scene. There are some power outages in the area. If I were to speculate, it sounds like maybe a car went into a utility pole there. Again, no word on any injuries or anything like that, but Highway 224 is closed at this point. Your freeway drive, there's the slowest part of it out of Clark County. I-5 right now at SR 500, slow and go. 17 minutes now get you in from Main Street south to the Fremont Bridge. China?
Thank you, Chris. Coming up on Sunrise, severe weather causing flight disruptions at major airports. Look at holiday travel ahead of July 4th.
Plus hundreds of thousands of pounds of a popular lunch meat. We're talking about BOLOGNA, recalled nationwide. We'll have details on what you should do if you have some of this in your fridge coming up on Sunrise.
The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust on your time. Track how the weather will impact your day.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
Extended, continuous coverage of breaking news, live from the scene.
That snowpack is still heavy.
Go deeper with in-depth interviews and exclusive reporting. All the local news you need, live or on demand. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free. The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust. Track how the weather will impact your day. Breaking news, live from the scene. All the local news you need. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free. On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with KGW and KGW Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on KGW Plus.
Holiday travel. We're heading into one of the busiest travel weeks for Americans. About 72 million people are expected to get away for the 4th of July.
Holiday travel this week is already off to a rocky start, though, in some parts of the country because of summer storms. Here's NBC's Tom Costello with more.
Airline operations teams warned this could happen. Ground stops and big delays Monday at New York's Big Three, LaGuardia, JFK, and Newark. On one of the busiest travel weeks of the summer, passengers at Newark delayed for hours. Alexandra Paz's Spirit Airlines flight home to Orlando canceled.
It was delayed like 3 times.
And now it's just not happening. Frustrating?
Yes, very, because we were looking for other flights, but there's nothing out until July 2nd.
Aircraft 2025 and aircraft 13. Just a plan B.
Inside United's operations center at Newark, they juggle planes, crews, catering, luggage, fueling.
Yeah, we're going to need extra gas.
Misconnected passengers and mechanical issues.
No. You gotta take the wing.
United has 74 gates here, the most of any airline.
This time of year, they're not just watching the runways and the ramps, they're also watching the weather out of the west. Severe thunderstorms, which can ruin best laid plans.
What about ground stop to the south? What do you think?
But this summer, Newark, one of the nation's busiest airports, has become a surprise turnaround story. Just 2 months ago, Newark was struggling with hours-long delays, air traffic control staffing shortages at Philly Radar Control, failing radios and radars, and a critical runway closed for repairs. Fast forward to today, the runway is open, the FAA is upgrading ATC equipment and adding staff, and United says its Newark hub is now the most on-time airport in New York.
Does it feel like this airport is back again, that Newark is back and operating at full throttle?
It does, Tom, and really that's a testimony to the collaboration between United Airlines, the Port Authority of New York, and the FAA to really build us back up to our 380 operations per day.
380 takeoffs, roughly the same number of arrivals, with one eye always on the weather.
And if a thunderstorm hits, just like when you have the kids playing Little League, we have to take everybody off the ramp. We got to keep them safe. So everything comes to a halt.
Again, that was Tom Costello reporting for us this morning. We do have some delays at the Portland airport this morning. At last check, we saw 22 delayed arriving flights, only 2 delayed departing flights. So we bring in former flight attendant, now current meteorologist Rod Hill. Can I assume that with 22 delayed arrivals versus 2 delayed departures, that means things are okay here, but maybe not so great in other spots?
Yeah, you know, people lose track of the fact that it's not just where you are, and especially if you fly later in the day, that plane has made as many as 6 or 7 stops in different cities. So, you know, maybe the delay was in Kansas City at an 8 o'clock flight in the morning, but that bumped that delay to the fact that by the time you take off in Portland at 5 in the afternoon, you're an hour and a half late. So it really all trickles down. Brought up my slide rule because you guys mentioned that the water safety and the fact that water temperatures are still cold. So the Willamette River this surprised me, it was still this cool. It's 64 degrees in downtown is what the water temperature in the Willamette is reported. I think most people consider 70 kind of the threshold of, well, it's cool, but it's refreshing. And then, of course, you get above 70, it gets warmer. But that's still chilly for the first.
We saw all those people swimming in the Willamette yesterday morning.
Yeah, to me, that's still chilly. We'll see a significant warming typically over the next 2 weeks in our rivers and lakes around the area. So that's good information to know. Here's our red flag warning for Central Oregon. Again, this is posted primarily for a thunderstorm risk and, of course, lightning potentially starting new fires. Had lightning down around Medford, and then those strikes kind of faded up towards Sun River last night. Looks like the fire starts from that. The only word I can come up with is frivolous, meaning there were small blazes that so far not reported to have done anything, so that's good news. All right, heat advisory, day 2 and the finale from the Dalles out into the Columbia Basin, Walla Walla, Pendleton, Hermiston. Again, Pendleton expected to hit 100. Hermiston could be 102. You folks will start to cool down into the 90s, at least a little bit of a cooling starting tomorrow, and then further cooling coming in on Thursday. Here's the Reserve Vineyards and Golf Club. Hello, I got sprinklers going out there this morning. Beautiful sunny morning, 62. It's 59 up in Kelso. We have the mixed bag of fogginess and some low clouds along the coast. That cleared out yesterday, expected to clear out again today. Astoria, good morning, 58 for you. 74 in the Dalles. You folks expected to hold in the 90s today, 72 down in Bend. A futurecast just shows at 5 o'clock this afternoon that renewed thunderstorm threat popping up from our south towards central Oregon. This does show Salem hitting 90, so again, not as hot today, but still hot. Plan your day accordingly and perhaps get some things done this morning. Battleground 88 degrees. We've got Portland at 89. Here's the big cool down. Tomorrow only 80, and starting tomorrow through July 4th, could be some early clouds each morning. We've got 77 on July 4th. That's dreamy stuff, right? Unless you want to go boating, then you may want it a little bit hotter, but really comfortable. 84 on Sunday. Chris, that's the forecast.
Rod, thank you for that. Of course, you may recall that terrible Rowena fire that burned several homes out in Wasco County last month. This is some new photos I got from ODOT yesterday of the damage on Highway 30, which is still closed for about 3 miles. You can see some of the signs are melted there. That section of Highway 30, just east of the Rowena viewpoint, remains closed, and there's no estimate to reopen. You can see some of the damage there. There's, of course, the iconic Rowena viewpoint. East of there, it's closed. West of there, it looks like you can still get to the viewpoint. But in any event, I wanted to give you an update on that. Highway 224 in Clackamas County remains closed. Speculating here that a car may have gone into a utility pole. PGE has been called out to the scene. There are some power outages reported in the area. And guys, your detour to get around this 224 closure is 232nd and then Highway 212 through Damascus. Traffic obviously picking up there. So we'll keep you posted as we roll on this morning.
Take a look at this, Chris. Ahead here on Sunrise, Caitlin Clark's basketball shoe, her Nike basketball shoe, sold out in minutes. Not surprised to hear that, actually. This is the latest version, by the way, of a shoe representing one of the NBA's all-time greats. We're going to take a closer look. We'll tell you who after the break.
The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust on your time. Track how the weather will impact your day.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
Extended, continuous coverage of breaking news live from the scene.
That snowpack is still heavy.
Go deeper with in-depth interviews and exclusive reporting. All the local news you need, live or on demand. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free. On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with KGW and KGW Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on KGW Plus. The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust. Track how the weather will impact your day. Breaking news live from the scene. All the local news you need. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free.
Now to your morning rush. The Department of Homeland Security is ending temporary protective status for Haitian people living in the U.S. legally. The TPS program began in 1990 to offer temporary legal refuge to people from countries hit by disasters. Its end means that the Haitians must leave the U.S. by early September. Meanwhile, a 2024 State Department advisory still warns Americans not to travel to Haiti due to crime and civil unrest. Nearly 150,000 pounds of ready-to-eat bologna is being recalled nationwide for containing meat or poultry that's not on the product's label. The bologna from Geyser European Provisions Inc. was sold under multiple brands and produced between March 20th and June 20th. So if you bought any, throw it out or return it. And WNBA star Caitlin Clark's new basketball shoes sold out in minutes. The shoe is a variation on Nike's Kobe 5 Protos and sold for $190, but the shoes already on resale sites like eBay for more than $350, and that's your morning rush. Coming up on the next half hour of Sunrise, why fans are complaining after the big concert over the weekend featuring Post Malone and Jelly Roll didn't go as smoothly as possible, and the Portland Timbers are now apologizing. Plus, meet this year's Miss Oregon and Miss Oregon's teen live in KGW studio. In about 15 minutes, we revisit the crowning moment and the path leading up to it.
KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust. Track how the weather will impact your day. Breaking news live from the scene. All the local news you need. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free. On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with KGW and KGW Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on KGW Plus.
We have now issued a weather impact alert.
We could expect conditions in some parts of our area to change drastically pretty soon, right?
And very quickly, yes.
This is significant rainfall coming our way.
You'll definitely want to be extra cautious.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
We've got the potential for some tree limbs or even trees or power lines to come down.
Of course, when you hear thunder, it's always best to take cover.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stream extended coverage on KGW Plus.
We are coming up on 7:29 on this Tuesday morning drive, and we begin with a traffic alert in Clackamas County. Highway 224 is closed because of a crash 2 miles east of Tog Road. I don't have many details on this, but I do know that PGE is also headed to the scene with a report of several power outages in the area. So presumably a car may have taken out some utility lines. In any event, your detour right now is 232nd Drive through Highway 212 and into the Damascus area. Another slow spot in Clackamas County, of course, on the freeway. Rod, always busy from Gladstone to Westland. There's one of your bigger slow spots on the freeway system right now.
I see the red. Thank you, Chris. Another morning where it's cloudy up and down the coast from the cameras. You can just see the bottom of Tillamook Head right there. And, of course, Seaside is adjacent. This is the camera up in Gearhart looking down to the south from Gearhart by the sea. The cameras here in Portland and all inland areas in the valley just show sunny skies. We're at 62. This will be another hot afternoon, so plan your day accordingly. It won't be as hot as yesterday. Yesterday it was 94. Today we've got 89. 7-day forecast shows a very pleasant change starting tomorrow with Wednesday's high at 80 degrees.
Good morning. We start this half hour of Sunrise with news from NASA. So welcome to our 7:30 half hour. The agency announced starting this summer, NASA's live programming will begin streaming on Netflix. So that means if you are a Netflix user, rocket launches, spacewalks, and views of Earth from space will be within reach.
That's cool.
NASA says,
I'd watch that.
Yeah, NASA says that their work in science and exploration will become even more accessible, reaching a global audience of 700 million people on Netflix. Now, the agency also adds that their content will remain free on the app, on the NASA app as well, where it's already live programming.
I didn't know that they had a NASA app.
No.
Well, that's news too.
That's cool.
Quite frankly, I didn't realize there were any apps other than KGW Plus, which is available now for free.
Yes.
You can stream it through Roku, Amazon Fire, or Apple TV.
You're actually doing it right now.
Thank you for
watching us.
We appreciate you.
I thought the story was going to be about the astronauts are watching Netflix, actually.
Maybe they're watching
where my
us
mind
in space. Maybe they have the KGW Plus app up on there in the satellite. How else
That's
would that
probably
be?
that's
what they're doing.
For sure.
Let's get you to the weather maps. You folks at the beach, good morning to you. You did clear out yesterday and have some afternoon sun, and we think that'll happen again today. Boy, that's just a dark, low cloud bank kissing the Pacific waters, but you can see some blue up top. That's the Chinook Winds Casino Resort camera. Lake of Say, you're at 55 degrees. Highs today expected to jump up into the 60s with some developing sunshine. Portland, it's going to be another hot afternoon, so again, plan accordingly. 62, this is obviously the most comfortable part of your day. We'll be back up to around 80 at noon. Yesterday was 83 at noon. Yesterday it was 94. Today we're forecasting 89, so not as hot. Here's Chris.
I like that trend going towards the holiday. All right, on a serious note, we pick it up in Clackamas County. And a reminder, Highway 224 has been closed now for about 45 minutes, 2 miles east of Tong Road because of a crash. Again, I don't have many details on this other than I do know the PGE is headed to the scene and there are a number of power outages reported in the area. So obviously some power utility lines impacted with that crash and the road is closed. So your detour to get around this 232nd drive through Highway 212 and into the Damascus area, that'll be in place for some time. Also back to the freeway drive through Clackamas County, I-205 puttering along from Gladstone south of West Lynn over the Abernathy Bridge. There's the live look right now. You can see we're pretty slow on that side of town. We'll switch gears, show you the Banfield right now. I-84 westbound traffic tightening up as always through the Gateway District and you're tripping from Clark County. 205 looks good. I-5, not great. 21 minutes gets you in from Main Street.
Thank you, Chris. All right, we are taking a live look from the Senate floor in D.C. as senators continue to introduce unlimited amendments to President Trump's big, beautiful bill. Now, this has been going on for over 24 hours now, but at some point, senators are expected to vote on the spending bill, but we don't know exactly when that will happen.
Republican senators are trying to pass the bill by this Friday, but Democrats are aiming to stall the final vote and convince some GOP lawmakers to vote against it. NBC's Alice Barr brings us the latest from Washington, D.C.
On Capitol Hill overnight, the marathon before the sprint as Republicans push to pass President Trump's signature spending and tax cuts bill.
Make sure people's taxes don't go up tomorrow, the next day, forever.
Senators locked in a vote-a-rama, introducing unlimited amendments before a final vote.
We have before us a bill that gives tax breaks to the top 1% that will be paid in cuts to Medicaid, SNAP, and more.
Proposed changes repeatedly shot down, including one from Republican Susan Collins, to increase taxes on the ultra-wealthy in order to boost funding for rural hospitals.
When these facilities close their doors, the people they serve are often left behind without access to health care.
Democrats say Republicans are creating the danger to rural health care through Medicaid cuts and not going far enough to fix it.
It is a Band-Aid on an amputation. It provides just a tiny fraction of the nearly $1 trillion in cuts.
More than 11 million Americans are expected to lose their health care. Republicans argue the overhaul will help keep Medicaid running long term.
We are fiscally making Medicaid more sound.
Also touting the bill's extended tax cuts and billions for defense, deportations, and the border. Spending, the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office estimates, will increase the deficit by more than $3 trillion. President Trump's one-time advisor Elon Musk resuming his online attacks, saying Republicans who campaigned on cutting spending and backed this bill, quote, will lose their primary next year if it is the last thing I do on this earth. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
Back here locally, ODOT says it plans to start laying off workers this week after Oregon lawmakers failed to pass a much-talked-about transportation funding package over the weekend. We spoke to one worker who had just packed up his desk. He told us ODOT's Tualatin office was closing. Governor Kotek says roughly 600 or 700 jobs will be cut, although ODOT says they're still working on the exact number. In a statement, ODOT says it can't use federal funding, state project money, or transit money for maintenance, so the only way to balance its budget, it says, is with severe cuts. And on top of the ODOT cuts, Portland Mayor Keith Wilson says dozens of city transportation employees will also be laid off.
We are the second largest transportation system in the state. Clearly, there's going to be an employment nexus. We see 60 people having to be reduced without having the funding that we expected from this package.
Mayor Wilson says transportation budget cuts could also impact repairs and upgrades to street lights and traffic signals. He's calling for a special session so state lawmakers can put together some sort of funding plan. But Governor Kotek hasn't said if she plans to call for that session or not.
Meanwhile, a bill aimed at tackling Oregon's public defender crisis made it to the governor's desk. It funnels more money into the public defense system and allows attorneys to take on more clients. Right now, the Oregon Judicial Department says that there are about 3,700 unrepresented defendants. The Oregon Public Defense Director delivered the plan, which will also allow some law students to work on public defense cases while they're still working to pass the bar. Lawmakers say that they have faith in the new leadership.
I believe we have, after 3 years, the ship finally turned with a leader who is a leader instead of a manager, and organizations that understand we either get it right or perhaps they may not exist much longer.
During a vote earlier this month on the bill in the House, lawmakers called the plan a real fundamental improvement.
All right, big concert Saturday night at Providence Park. Post Malone and Jelly Roll. Even bigger, perhaps, though, the line outside to get into the concert.
Yeah, so fans said it was both disorganized and frustrating as many of them missed the opening acts. Doors opened about 10 minutes late, and then it was a very slow process to get more than 30,000 people inside. Portland Timbers management is apologizing for the long wait times fans faced.
Never seen a line out there or just a crowd. It was like a big street party out there with everybody pushing in with no leadership, no organization, no nothing. I've never seen anything like it.
People, including myself, were confused about which gate to go to, and all of that combined just led to me and many other people being in line for like 90 plus minutes and missing at least 2 of the openers, if not more.
In a statement, the Timbers didn't expand on why the wait was so long. Instead, they apologized for the long entry times and said that they'd work on improving it for future shows.
Plans to bring a new performing arts center to the campus of Portland State University have taken a big step forward. Oregon lawmakers approved $137 million in state bonds for this venue. So the PSU Center on Southwest Lincoln will house a 1,200-seat theater and an academic space. It's set to be completed by the year 2030. And after that work is done, the Keller Auditorium downtown is expected to undergo renovations. And that's no bull.
Okay.
But this next shot is full of them.
Okay.
St. Paul Rodeo tonight. Yes, we're taking a look at the bulls getting ready to perform this evening through Saturday night out there in St. Paul. Nightly shows start at 7:30. There's a huge, one of the best in the area, fireworks show after each and every single performance. And there's also that Friday afternoon matinee on the 4th of July starting at 1:30. You're pretty good at naming animals, Chani.
Yeah.
Do you have a name for these bulls here?
Yeah, so the one on the left,
Uh-huh.
I gotta get a look at it.
Yeah.
That's Bruce.
Okay.
And then that one right there walking in the frame, Charlie.
Bruce and Charlie. Oh, Charlie.
Charlie, get, oh, do we have
Charlie's getting a little aggressive
scuffle?
with Bruce. Bruce says, I don't want any parts of you, Charlie. Back up.
Back up.
If you want more information on the rodeo, Bruce, Charlie, any of that good stuff, stpaulrodeo.com.
I like the clarity of the sign. Did you see it? It said
Stay back.
bulls. Stay back, yeah. Yeah, pretty good.
Stay away from Charlie.
And stay away from Charlie, yes. All right, we are still tracking a heat advisory. This is day 2 and expected to be lifted because cooler weather will be coming in tomorrow. But for today, it's still upper 90s to 103 from the Dalles up through Pendleton and then up into Washington. Pendleton 100 plus, Hermiston 100 plus. The Dalles expected to hold in the upper 90s today. Certainly hot weather. Here's your live camera from the Oregon Veterans Home out in Wasco County. 74, already a warm morning for you. Let's go from that into the West Hills and the Oregon Zoo camera. 64 degrees this morning. This is going to be a nice day. It will be hot this afternoon, pardon me, but not as hot as yesterday. Yesterday we hit 94. Here are the numbers out the door. Pretty similar to 24 hours ago. We're in the 60s. 63 in downtown Portland and Hillsboro and Beaverton and Sherwood. And Kaiser is at 63, and Albany is at 63. Good morning to the 63 Club. Buddy is our KGW Dog of the Day. Hello, Buddy. Use that email address, dogoftheday@kgw.com. Send us your dog's name, photo, and your dog will become our Dog of the Day. There's Buddy this morning. All right, forecast map for later today. Here we go. Temperatures generally 90s or better inland when you get east of the Cascades. That thunderstorm threatens central Oregon. A lot of us will be upper 80s to about 90 today in the Willamette Valley and 60s at the coast with afternoon sun. I've got Portland at 89. Again, yesterday was 94. You see the cool down starts tomorrow with a high of 80. And then, Chris, pretty good looking week once we get to tomorrow's cooler temperatures, sir.
July that was that comfortable in recent memory? That's awesome. All right, let's get you out the door. And again, the big traffic alert right now is in Clackamas County. Highway 224 remains closed because of a crash at milepost 12. That's 2 miles east of Tong Road. I don't have a lot of details on the crash, but the road is closed, and your detour to get around that is 232nd to 212 through the Damascus area indefinitely. I also know that PGE is on the scene with a reported several dozen power outages. So if I were to speculate, maybe a car took out a utility pole. No word on injuries, but again, that is a traffic no-go for now. I-5 south of town through the Wilsonville area. Getting a little bit busier on that I-5 northbound commute, but not bad. Westbound 84 also a little tight right now, getting in from Troutdale. That's a total of 36 minutes now from Troutdale west to the I-5 split. China?
Chris, thank you. Staying in some car stories right now. Starting today, taking an Uber or Lyft in Portland will cost you more money. The city is bumping up its rideshare surcharge from 65 cents a ride to $2. The city approved the hike last month, and it hopes that the higher charge will generate about $10 million a year for the Portland Bureau of Transportation, which officials say is underfunded, by the way. That new $2 rideshare surcharge means Portland, yay for us, now has the highest flat rider fee in the country.
Yay.
Yay.
Hey, how about we do cheer for special guests on the Sunrise Show this morning? We've got the new Miss Oregon and the new Miss Oregon's teen with us on the show today, just a few days after their crowning moments in Seaside over the weekend. So we're going to talk to Mila and Maya, the M&M girls. Your Miss Oregon teen, that's coming up next here on Sunrise.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with KGW and KGW Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on KGW Plus. The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust. Track how the weather will impact your day. Breaking news live from the scene. All the local news you need. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free.
Issued a weather impact alert.
We could expect conditions in some parts of our area to change drastically pretty soon, right?
And very quickly, yes.
This is significant rainfall coming our way.
You'll definitely want to be extra cautious.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
We've got the potential for some tree limbs or even trees or power lines to come down.
Of course, when you hear thunder, it's always best to take cover.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stream extended coverage on KGW Plus.
Your Miss Oregon 2025. And she is Maya Cash, Miss Lane County.
Yes, she is. Maya Cash getting the crown there on Saturday night in Seaside, the winner of this year's Miss Oregon competition. And that means she is headed to this year's Miss America competition. Maya is with us in studio this morning, and she's not alone. She's also joined by our new Miss Oregon's teen. We have Mila Pearl with us as well. So this is Mila. This is Maya.
Hello.
My name is Drew. This is the Sunrise Show. I'm going to start with you, Miss Oregon. Can we go back to that crowning moment again?
Yes.
I know there was a lot of build up to this. I mean, a lot of competition throughout the week, but months of preparation on your end.
For sure.
Can you tell us, give us an idea of just, what kind of preparation goes into a competition like this and actually earning the crown?
For sure. This was my first pageant ever, which is
Of any
absolutely
kind?
insane. Yes.
Wow.
My first pageant that I competed in was the Miss Lane County pageant in Eugene, Oregon. And I went on to Miss Oregon in Seaside, Saturday being crowned. Preparation is a lot, but at the same time it's so much fun because you're pushing yourself past limits that you didn't even know were possible. So it's very exciting, and just that moment, that crowning moment, was so surreal, and I still get emotional watching it back because you've worked all week hand in hand with these amazing women, and Alyssa DeFilippo was my first runner-up, and she's a sweetheart. We just formed such a strong friendship. It's very surreal.
I got to co-host the event on Saturday night. I was happy to see all of the girls getting along as well as they did. I mean, behind the scenes, behind the stage, there was a lot of hugging, encouragement, a lot of high-fiving, so that was really cool to see. So, maybe about an hour or so before your crowning moment, we had our Miss Oregon's teen crowning moment. So Mila Pearl from Oregon City, by the way, still in high school. She'll be a senior next year. We've got a picture of your crowning moment. Can you talk about the emotions running through you? I mean, the face is great, but I want to know what was going on in your head.
So many things. I think really just the shock of knowing that it actually happened is just something that takes a long time to process. I was just so grateful. I mean, Kendall Ray and herself was a special moment to have with her because she's so inspiring and was a great Miss Oregon's teen, and so it was an amazing person to follow. And all those girls that I was standing up next to, top 5, and all the other 15 or 14 girls, it was just so special to be the one who got the crown because they were all so deserving.
Definitely some great competition, and I was not playing favorites on Saturday, and I didn't have to judge it, thank goodness, but I did think both of you handled yourselves terrifically. You both earned those crowns. Let me bring it back to you. We'll wrap up again. Mila Pearl from Oregon City, only in high school, going to be a senior next year. Maya, by the way, still in college.
Yes.
And later this year, you'll be competing in the Miss America competition.
Yes.
What do you think about that? How nervous are you for that? Are you ready? If it was to happen tomorrow, would you be ready to go?
It's mind-boggling for sure to think that this was my first pageant, and now going on to the Miss America stage, just to set foot and touch down in Orlando will be incredible. All of the memories that I'm going to make, the bonds with the girls, but I feel very prepared. The nerves aren't there quite yet, but I'll get back to you on that. But I have this amazing board, so do both of us, behind us, that they're ready to support us and stand behind us and make sure that we're the most equipped we can be walking into that week. So I'm very excited.
All right, Lane County and Eugene's finest. Oregon City and Clackamas County's best. We've got the new Miss Oregon and the new Miss Oregon's teen, and we also have Rod Hill on standby. So Rod, we've got royalty among us on this Tuesday morning, but they said more than anything, the reason they're excited to be here is they get to see you forecast the weather live. Let's do it.
Over there. By the way, just putting this thought out there, one Miss Lane County went on to win Miss Oregon, never lost a beauty pageant, and the next one up is Miss America. What do you think?
I like her chances.
Yeah, I do too. All right. Here's a look at the July outlook put out last week on the 19th from the National Weather Service. They're basically seeing patterns that means all of the West is going to see at least above normal temperature averages. And from the upper plain states across Idaho into Oregon and Washington, below normal precipitation patterns. Seems like kind of what we're getting used to, right? Here's where this is interesting, because this is where the models overwhelmingly are projecting the heat dome this month to set up, or at least the high pressure ridging, which is often associated with the bullseye of some of the hottest temperatures in terms of being above normal. And it's going to fire, it looks like, over the four corners of Utah, Arizona, New Mexico, and Colorado, with ridging up through the Rocky Mountain states. So it's tough to tell. Do we get on a big run of 90-degree heat like 5, 6, 7 days in a row, or do we kind of stay on the outer periphery of this? My projection after looking at this for a couple of weeks is that we're going to have at least 5 90-degree days in July, and probably 8 is my guess. All right. Right now, we've got showers redeveloping and coming up into parts of southern Oregon. You can see them right there, and there is a thunderstorm threat. In fact, heavier showers now starting to fire down in Burns. You can see that action. Here on the west side, we're all sunny, 62 degrees from the Reserve Vineyards and Golf Club in Aloha. Here's Willamette Valley Vineyard just south of Salem. So again, where everybody's getting the sun. The coast has clouds and fog once again. Yesterday cleared out, expected to clear out again today. It's 54 in Newport right now. But the sun from Eugene up to Seattle, 60s. And then you've got 74 degrees out in the Dalles where it's sunny this morning. Futurecast shows this activity firing and then thunderstorm threats moving later today over toward Bend. And again, concerned that there could be new fire starts from lightning strikes. Keep an eye on that carefully. Salem 90. Today's the day that's not as hot, but I mean still getting up to around 90. So plan your activities accordingly. Take advantage of this morning. 88 in Battleground. We have Portland at 89 after hitting 94 yesterday. Tomorrow, really nice change in terms of pleasant weather. 80 degrees the high. Could have some early clouds the next couple of mornings. We have July 4th at 77 and really the entire weekend back up to 84 on Sunday. Pretty nice weather for July. Chris, you're right. The last two July 4ths have kind of been a kickoff point to heat waves that we've had.
Not this year.
This weekend.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, hey, I want to take you out to Wasco County. A reminder, Highway 30, because of the Rowena fire last month, remains closed. These are some new photos that I got from ODOT yesterday. You can see some of the sign damage there where the signs were melted. Obviously, it damaged or destroyed several homes in the area, so 30 remains closed. There is no estimate to reopen this, by the way. That's nearly a 3-mile closure, which is just east of this iconic Rowena viewpoint here. This is looking east. That's where the road is closed. You can still access it from the west, but in any event, I wanted to give you the update there. All right, let's get back to the freeway drive and a significant update. Highway 224. Or reminder that Highway 224 remains closed just east of Tong Road because of a crash. Presumably some utility lines involved here as well. So that road is closed. 232nd to Highway 212 through Damascus continues to be your workaround at this point. Drew, China.
Thank you, Chris. Still ahead on Sunrise, Portland Fire naming a rescue boat in honor of their fallen colleague. The impact Jerry Richardson had on the team after the break.
The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust on your time. Track how the weather will impact your day.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
Extended, continuous coverage of breaking news live from the scene.
That snowpack is still heavy.
Go deeper with in-depth interviews and exclusive reporting. All the local news you need, live or on demand. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free.
We have now issued a weather impact alert.
We could expect conditions in some parts of our area to change drastically pretty soon, right?
And very quickly, yeah.
This is significant rainfall coming our way.
You'll definitely want to be extra cautious.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
We've got the potential for some tree limbs or even trees or power lines to come down.
Of course, when you hear thunder, it's always best to take cover.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stream extended coverage on KGW Plus.
Portland's Fire Rescue Boat 17 has a new name. It's been renamed Jerry Richardson after one of the department's fallen colleagues. Richardson was a firefighter in Portland from 1999 to 2021 when he died from cancer connected to his career as a first responder. Yesterday, the interim fire chief talked not only about Richardson's work, but the impact he had on his fellow firefighters.
We were classmates in the recruit academy, but more importantly, he was my friend. I still miss him. The stories he could masterfully spin, the crushing bear hugs that he would always give whenever he greeted you or said goodbye. and the kind person that he was and that he always showed up for you.
Rescue Boat 17 patrols the Hayden Island area where Richardson most recently served.
For the first time in 20 years, the city of Salem will provide ambulance services instead of using a private company. Salem's fire chief says this change has been a long time coming after the company the city was using failed to meet its contract obligations. There were also issues of long waits for emergency calls. The fire department says it's hired dozens of new employees to help make this a smooth transition.
60 new employees, 12 ambulances. It was a significant commitment, absolutely. One of the things that is beneficial of the system is that it is revenue neutral for the general fund budgets.
With this change, Salem's 911 dispatch, EMTS, and fire response will all be part of the same department.
KGW Sunrise continues live on KGW Plus, and coming up at 8 o'clock, the latest on the northern Idaho ambush that left 2 firefighters dead as the community gathers to pay their respects.
Plus, 2 people have drowned in local lakes and rivers in less than a week's time. So we're going to hear from rescuers about how you can stay safe in the water while you're out beating the heat. Sunrise Show continues here at 8 o'clock. This is a live look, of course, downtown Portland on this Tuesday morning. We are 3 minutes away from that live version of the show, only available here on KGW Plus. We're glad you found us. Keep it right here. More Sunrise in just a minute.